Yeah, hi everyone. Myself Shivam Bajaj, and I'm working as software engineer, and I write code for web from the past 1 year. In this video, I'll guide you, or even I'll walk through the fullstackopen.com Part 0. The fullstackopen.com is an open source bootcamp which teaches you how to become a full stack developer from scratch. As I said earlier, that I have been working as web developer or software engineer from the past 1 year. So this course few parts are easier for me as I'm specialized in front end. Other will take more time as compared to the initial parts. So the fullstackopen.com is based on three layers: the front end layer, back end layer, and the database layer. And the tech stack is React.js for the front end. For the backend, they are using Node.js, and for the database, MongoDB. Apart from this, they are also using TypeScript for type safety and other configuration tools, and they will also teach CI/CD, React Native for mobile app development, and such things. And for network requests, they will teach us in this course about the REST API and the GraphQL. So the fullstackopen.com is an open source bootcamp which has 13 parts, and in this video I'll walk through the part 0. Okay, before we start, I'll tell you guys, this video is for beginners who want to become a full stack web developer, or someone who has experience in the front end development but his backend skills are on a weaker side. Okay, so the part 0 has two sections: general info and fundamentals of web app. Here, okay, another disclaimer before we start ahead. I am recording this video with prerequisites in mind that okay, I want to build my skills as a full stack developer. I'm not learning throughout this course for the job. Here I'm just going through this course or this bootcamp for the sake of becoming a full stack developer and build full stack web apps, not to get the job. Why? I'll tell you when we start going into the part A. So the part A is general info. Here they explain what is fullstackopen.com, how it works, why it works this way, and they've explained the tech stack, which includes everything which I've explained earlier. And if you see the left nav bar section, they will tell you the number of sections in this page. And okay, in quick short summary, you must go through this page. But in this page, if you are someone who is a beginner who wants to become a full stack developer, so he shouldn't, if possible, go with the grading system. Okay, I'll explain. So before we move ahead, they have few prerequisites. You should have a basic knowledge of programming and should understand Git and GitHub. Okay, if even in case you don't understand GitHub, don't have basic knowledge of programming, it is still okay to go ahead with this course. You'll get to know parallelly while you are reading the course materials. But what I'll suggest is, after finishing part 0, part AB of section AB of part 0, please go through Git and GitHub. Give them at least 3 to 4 hours. Then it will be really helpful once you go through the other parts, part 1 till part 13. Okay, so where I was, so this section explains what is fullstackopen.com, how it works, why it works this way, and who is this course for, and how you can take help and such other things. Okay, in this section they explain the grading system, the credits you will get. If you are an European student, you can apply as a full-time course in the University of Helsinki, and for completing each submission or completing each assignment, you will get few credits. After completing this course, you will get a chance to apply for the job with companies who have signed a contract or MOU with the fullstackopen.com. Not contract, just okay, they have given a promise. Okay, we'll give you a chance of an interview. So this is pretty much explained in this section. The main thing out of here is, first one is this: how to get help in Discord/Telegram. So here they are not asking you, okay, don't ask for help. They are just explaining, okay, the way you will be asking help, it should be absolute. It should be close to absolute. What I mean by here is, let's say I have an issue, some JavaScript code is buggy and it's not working. There is some console error message. What should I do? I should tell, okay, in the Discord or the Telegram, hey, I was doing this, while doing this and this, I was getting this error. Okay, I have done this and this to solve this error, but I am unable to solve this error. This is the code related to this error and few other things, and where I have hosted my code. So this way they will get to know what you are facing, why you are facing, what you are done to solve this issue, and where is your code. So and such things. Yeah, please do read this section, how to get help in Discord/Telegram. Then coming parts and full step. Yeah, this as I said earlier, interview promise, so it's not in contact, it's in promise. And full stack project. Before you start such things, yeah, they have given a link for the Git and GitHub tutorials. Please don't skip if you're someone new or a beginner or even who don't know such things. Please go to Git and GitHub, it's important. And then last after that, then typos and such things. So this was pretty much basic of part 0 section A. Now coming to part 0 section B, which is fundamental of web apps. So again, to see what is there, you can go through the left navigation bar here, and they have explained. Okay, before I start out and explain what is there, I'll tell you they have explained the gist of all the topics listed over there on the left hand side on the navigation bar. Okay, by gist I mean a very simple and a small definitions. Okay, so let's they have explained here mainly the how what is web app, how they work, what's the difference between a traditional web app and the single page web apps. They are coming to single page web apps in the fullstackopen.com. They will teach you how to build single page web apps, not the server side web apps which are popular today, but you can transfer these skills. If you don't know, if you're someone beginner who might not have knowledge, okay, you can still transfer these skills to build a server side web apps. You will get to know later, okay, how you can do that. There's nothing like, instead of pushing all your code in the browser, there will be some code running on the server. That will be the major difference, and few other things. So please don't care about that. Skills are always transferable. Okay, so in this section they explain what is web app, how a web app works, what's the difference between the way a web apps used to work traditionally, and what's the difference today with the single page web apps. Okay, so they explain what is HTTP GET request or network request, how they work, how they look like in the browser console, or how they look in browser network tab, what happens when you hit a URL. Okay, how they look in browser tab. Sorry for going into another direction. What response does it contains, type of the document, request time, request size, and few such things. You should read each and each thing one by one. Okay, then traditional web app. So here they are trying to explain how a web app works. By that I mean, if I am the user and I hit the URL in the browser, they are explaining how this URL, how browser communicate this URL with the DNS server, then get the info. Okay, this is where the server is, and ask the server for the request, ask and make a request to the server. Then the server send them the response. Once browser get the response, it sees the response type, and based on the response type, it parses the HTML document. So when I make a request to google.com, Google server returns my browser HTML page, which my browser takes it and shows me in the UI or in the browser UI. This is how traditional web apps are working. Now they are given a gist of it here. Please go through it. Then running application logic in the browser, and they are just walking you through few small concepts, which is must for someone who is beginner. Then event handlers, okay, callback function. Then the DOM will be the a chunk which you will be using again and again throughout this full stack web development course. So it's a must thing to go through. DOM is nothing, it's an API provided by browser. Okay, where we can using JavaScript can manipulate the HTML structure. So it's an interface for doing manipulation on the HTML web page initially provided by us to the server. I said hit google.com, get the google.com HTML page. Now I want to change from Google logo to, let's say, fullstackopen.com. How will I do that? Using this DOM API I can do that, and this all will be done using JavaScript. So they explain manipulating a DOM object from console. You can see how they can do that. What will happen when you hit type document in the console, what will get response. Yeah. Then coming next session, they explain basics of CSS here. Don't worry if you don't understand much in this section, as this is just an overview section of what you can expect, and then later each section has a detailed explanation on that topic. So now my favorite part, the thing which I learned from this part 0 was how to write sequence diagrams. Oh, what is a sequence diagram? Sequence diagram is nothing, just representing sequence of flow between two participants or more than two participants. What do I mean by sequence of flow? Here in this context, it means the sequence or request and response between a browser and server, or between user, browser and the server, or even the database. Okay, so here they have explained what happens when a browser makes a request to the server using the sequence diagram, and this sequence diagram is written using the mermaid.js syntax and parsed in the markdown files. Yeah, please read this, don't skip this, it's a good skill to have. Okay, why it's a good skill to have? Let's say I want to explain you how a web browser works, or how browser makes a request to server and gets the response. What should I be doing? Let's say there are three options. One option, first option, let's say there are four options. First option, I explain you all the things physically by being with you. Second, I record a video and send it to you over the Google Drive or somewhere, YouTube. Third, I write a long form of text, a big paragraph, and explain you. Fourth, I write short form of text which are in numbers. These all will take huge time, and yeah, then if I have to share with someone else, it will again be an issue. I have to forward them. So instead of, why don't I create a sequence diagram where I'm telling you, hey, make a get request, get this response, then you have to do this, get CSS file, JavaScript, and so on till data.json, where you can read it and visualize it. Okay, this is how it is happening. So this thing, that's why learning how to write sequence diagram is important, and it will help you communicate better, shorter, faster, and efficiently. Then forms and HTTP post method. So here they explain the post request or the HTTP post request and how they works, what they carry, and how browser sends a request, and how server returns a response to their request. And what are forms? Forms are nothing, they are just a mechanism for getting the user input, or asking the, or saying the user, hey user, bro, do you want some action to happen? Yeah, he will say yeah. So he will put his input here, browser will take his input and deliver to server, and server based on the user input will run commands there on the server and return some output, and that output is then returned by the server to the browser and displayed to the user in the UI. So this is how typical form structure might work. In some cases there might not be a response which is displayed, in some cases there will be a response on submitting the form. I am explaining in general here. Then coming to the Ajax, it's just nothing asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It's a term, it's a must read. It's said how typically trade in web requests are made. Okay, then coming to the single page app, now they started explaining what's the difference between these two, a traditional web app and the single page web app, and how they works. What's the role of DOM API? Here you will get to know, okay, what is the role of DOM API. Till now you might not be able to get, but in this section we get if you read the JavaScript code which was supplied. Then they have explained, okay, the history of some few JavaScript libraries and some frameworks. Then they have explained, okay, what is full stack web development and the layers thing which I talked earlier. I have learned from them, okay, how we can beautifully do bifurcation here, front end, back end, database, or even you can go in more depth and create layers like the OSI model for the full stack web app. And JavaScript fatigue, trust me, this happens. JavaScript ecosystem is changing rapidly from, as per my experience from last 1 year. New frameworks, new features, new tech, web is open for everyone, so change is the only constant here. You will feel the fatigue, but don't worry, it will get managed out. You just need to learn small and need to learn right. You don't need to learn everything. So don't worry about JavaScript fatigue. You will take care of it. I trust you. Then coming to the exercises. Now it's time to put the learnings into the practical. This section explains how submission system work, how should you submit the exercise. If you are someone who is going for credits, please do read this section carefully. And here they have shown, okay, how you should create a folder where you should put your exercise solution inside each part, named each folder, part 0, part 1, and subsequently. Then the first two exercises are nothing, just a reading assignment. Read about HTML, CSS, and HTML forms. One tip here, don't go in depth on HTML, CSS, and HTML forms. as compared to the JavaScript which you will be learning. The amount of time you should give to JavaScript it should be a 70% of your learning or reading time and 30% to these topics. Why? The most of the time you will spend writing is JavaScript, and the most of the problems you will be solving is using JavaScript. I'm not saying these are waste or I'm using these are less priority, so they don't have any such role, but the time you will be actually putting when you are writing code is more on JavaScript and using these concepts. Without them also you can't create web apps, but going super depth in them won't be helpful. Yeah, earlier if you're a beginner you should go and spend 2-3 hours or even a 2-3 days, doesn't matter. But if you're spending a month or 2 months, that is not beneficial. Now time to create sequence diagrams. So in this exercise they asked you, hey bro, create a sequence diagram showing how a traditional web app works and how a request is made, how server returns the request response, what happens when I click on save button, and how that response comes back to you using the mermaid.js syntax. Yep, I have done these assignments. I'll show you my solution. Then the last two exercises, nothing detail. Okay, do the same, but this time do for the single page app, and don't include the part where a user clicks on save button. So then the last exercise where they ask us to, okay, now it's time to create a sequence diagram for a single page web app where user clicks on the save button and what happens after user clicking the save button depict to in the sequence diagram. So last exercise will teach you how to create a sequence diagram. They will teach you what's the difference between a traditional web app and the single page app diagram, and how the click on the save button differs, how the response on the click on the save button in single page web app and traditional web app differs. Okay, this was pretty much in the part 0 of fullstackopen.com. Now let's move to the solutions which I have created for these last exercise. So the first one for the part 0, here I have shown, okay, what happens when a page on the browser makes a request to the server returns the HTML document, then user enters the input and clicks on save button, and then what happens, then after that a browser makes a post request to the server, and also browser appends the new node in the payload. Now after making a request, server will get a request, server returns a response, okay, request code successful, and a URL redirect. Focus on this word, and it gives a URL where you have to redirect. Okay, then again browser makes a get request to that URL. This time browser again is served with the HTML document. The HTML document will contain the updated list of nodes. So again makes a get request, get the HTML documents with the list of nodes, okay, and along with the input button, input form and the save button. Click on the save, users enter the inputs, a new post request is made, browser gets the success status code and the URL redirects to makes a request to the URL redirect and gets the updated HTML document. Now coming to the single page web app, users open the browser, enters the URL, does the same thing, browser returns the HTML document, start parsing the HTML document, requests the JS and CSS files, get those files, start executing JavaScript and CSS files. Then after that what happens, browser gets the data.json file, a JSON array is returned from the server. Then see here what I mentioned here, parses JSON response and display the list of nodes. So this is different. Instead of getting the URL redirect or status with success code or status successful request response, we are telling it, okay, the request is successful, now this is the response, parse the response and display the list of nodes. Now instead of JavaScript sitting on some server, it is sitting on the user machine. By user machine I mean on the browser. So now browser has JavaScript, which earlier I was doing in a traditional web app, and using that JavaScript part, browser is parsing the response and using DOM API to manipulate the HTML document and then via JavaScript code and show to the user. Still some part is given to the server, but the part which creates an HTML document is now on the browser itself. Now at last I have shown in more detail, okay, what happens when we click on save button, it makes a post request and appends the payload, then the browser returns, server returns 201 success status code, message not created. browser tells, hey JavaScript, bro, previously you made this request, now it's successful. You do whatever you want to do with this. This was the payload, this was the status code, and this was the response object. It will go to JavaScript. JavaScript say, yeah, don't worry, I know what to do. JavaScript asks, okay. JavaScript pass the response, convert into JSON format, and see, oh, it's done. Hey browser, just add a new node or new list item to the list of nodes, and this should be the text or the text content for the new list item. Now again, JavaScript is a participant here. Previously only browser and servers were participating in the traditional web app. As you can see, user came into the picture in the traditional web app as well. But in single page web app, JavaScript is also participant and user is an actor. That means JavaScript is now the client on the user machine and working out there. So the part of creating the HTML document is now taken care by the JavaScript in the browser machine. So this was the difference between single page web app and traditional web apps. There is still more difference, but I guess you should be learning it first, and writing in your words will help you more. So this was pretty much from this video, and I hope you people will like it. Yeah, thank you.